Well, I thought it might be time for a 4,000 mile review in this new Bronco 2023 Outer Banks. And really, it's been a good 4,000 miles. We've averaged 22.5 to 23 miles per gallon. A lot of that has to do with the fact that it's a two-door model. The Outer Banks spec, I believe, comes with a 373 rear gear, and I think it's an open diff, and that certainly helps fuel mileage. And of course, your driving style helps as well. So, we're pleased with that. The car's been really flawless. We've had two situations where we had to go back to the dealer. The first one was with our doors. The windows were dragging on the rubber seals, and we took it in and had them adjust the travel stops in the windows, and it's better. They did okay. They kind of over-fixed one and fixed the other. And the thing is, we're not dragging on the rubber anymore, but on the driver's side, it's maybe 75, 80 mile an hour, we start to get a little whistling noise. And the adjustment there is so minute. We're talking about 1 millimeter, which is about 40 thousandths of an inch. The adjustment's so slight, I hate to go back and be a whiny baby and have them redo it. So we'll either live with it or figure out how to do it ourselves. The other situation involved the sound deadening material, or headliner, whatever you want to call it, falling down primarily in the back of the vehicle, and it did that from the very first day we got it. We got this vehicle in Florida, so in the Florida sun, it loosened the glue, and the headliner fell down, and we discovered that there was a maintenance recall from Ford that took care of that situation. So we had to take it in. We had to have the service people observe that, yep, headliner is falling down. And then we had to order the part and then wait for it to come in. And I'm sure all the strike business didn't help. And finally made an appointment, and it was there for, 3/4 of a day. But the old bit was taken out, the glue cleaned up, and the new and improved version was installed, and so far it's been good, other than the fact that the inside of the car smelled like glue for 3 or 4 days. So those are the only two issues we've really had. There's some other nuances with the vehicle that, it's just the way it is. I think that these giant mirrors that they got sticking out here in the wind really, it's almost impossible to drive this thing with the windows open, because the air comes and blasts you in the face, blow your hat off, like to knock you right out of the seat. And I think it's just the air being forced around those mirrors, especially up against the A-pillar there. It's not a lot you can do with that. They mounted the mirrors on the bodywork instead of on the door, so that you could take the doors off and still have the mirrors. But yeah, I don't know. It's annoying, but that's the way it is. The other thing that one of the other things, I'm sure there are a lot of things, the access. This is a two-door model. The access to the rear seats is really limited. I mean, you got to put the the driver and passenger seat all the way forward, tilt them forward, and you gotta kind of climb in there. And it's okay if you're a kid. If you're an older person, that can be a little tricky. I knew that going in, and to be honest, we don't ride people around in the back. If we need to do that, we have another car, so we use that one. But that's just one of those things. I don't know what could be done to help that. The seats nowadays are so big and bulky that you can't just fold them out of the way. So what we've done here really is folded the back seats up completely, and then because when you do that, you really don't end up with a flat floor. You end up with a step back there, as we've made a little platform that's the same height as the step, and then threw a piece of carpet over it, so that we end up with a flat surface back there, and the seats folded up. So right now we couldn't use the back seat if we want to, but it sure makes it easy for going and picking stuff up and hauling stuff around. One of the downsides we learned to that, we tried to put the dog kennel in the back, and looked like it had plenty of room, but the geniuses that designed this car decided to hang a couple of stereo speakers back there at the top of the rear opening, and kind of makes it hard to put any kind of a tall square object in there. I like the stereo in this vehicle. It works well, sounds good, but I really don't need speakers hanging out in the middle of the space. You know, they could have put them in the side panels or put them anywhere. You know, if you're whizzing around in the woods having fun, the last thing you're worried about is how your stereo sounds. But there again, it is what it is. Can't fix it, so we got to work around it. The other thing that's annoying back there is the sort of rear tailgate process. You know, you got to open the bottom half of the gate with the tire mounted to it and swing it out of the way, and then open the top half, and that's backwards to what you'd normally want to do. Normally you want to just open the top half and throw something in there, but you can't do that. No matter what you're going to do, you got to open the bottom, swing it out of the way. You know, I think in the old days, the spare tire mount was separate from the tailgate, and you could swing the spare tire out of the way and then open the top or open the bottom, whatever you wanted to do, and then swing the tire back in place, and there you go. But I'm sure that somebody decided to save a few bucks and go ahead and just mount the spare tire to the tailgate, so the tailgate and the tire have to open at the same time. You know, there again, you know, we kind of knew that going in, but it's a PIA for sure. It just, every time you got to put something in the back, you got to do this, do that, and do something else. But overall, you know, really few gripes and groans. This same sort of combination of gripes and groans on the electronics, and you know, what's automatic and what's remembered and all that stuff. Can't really do anything about that. I've gotten to the point where I just disassociated my phone from the car, because every time I got in the car wanted to take over my phone, and I am not in for that. It's a good vehicle. I think it's worth the money. I'll be very honest. We have a 4 or 5 year old Land Rover here, and this vehicle for me is more comfortable and easier to drive and performs better than the Land Rover. And that may be hard to believe, but the other day when I went to pick this car up at the dealer and drove the Land Rover to get there, I couldn't believe how much heavier the steering was in the Land Rover and how much different the brakes were. And they have that stupid little wheel that you got to select what gear you want to be in instead of the gear lever. I like the gear lever in this Bronco. I realize that they do the same thing. It's all electronic, but the gear lever is just better. But it was interesting to me that how much the difference there was, talk much, between the Land Rover and the Bronco. And you know, if I had to buy the two of them for the same price, you know, the Land Rover is a bit more luxurious, but I think the Bronco's a better vehicle. So we'll keep driving it, keep making the payments, and see how it goes.